I just encountered an Anakin Padme meme where, so picture the Anakin Padme meme format. Each box just has captioned, "I don't want to go to work." That's the whole meme.
I like it.
I also saw the meme where it just had the actual dialogue from the scene on it, which was pretty great.
Welcome to Bookclub no Kiseki. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
And I'm Matt Jorgensen.
And the segment of Falcom's Kiseki series we'll be playing today is the final dungeon and the epilogue of Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. But before we get started, how at Dewsville, baby dolls?
So I enrolled in a teaching English as a foreign language course. So I'm studying how to teach English to people who don't know how to speak English, because I speak English, and probably there are people who also want to speak English who can't do that right now. So I'm going to maybe help them.
That sounds dope.
Yeah. I got 100 on the test I just took. So
out of 100, I'm hoping.
That. Yes, out of 100.
It would suck to get like a 100 on the SAT.
Yes.
You have to misspell your name.
Doesn't SAT scoring start at like fucking 300 or something? I can't remember.
It's something like that, yeah.
But it doesn't start at 0.
It does not. You'd
think you could do bad enough to do 0.
Right? I would almost try and get a 0 on purpose if I could. If everyone else is getting 1600s, I want the 0. I want to be the outlier.
When I was in high school,
surely you'd get a pity scholarship.
What was that, Matt?
I was going to say, when I was in high school, our physical education class had paper tests, which accounted for 5% of our final grade. So that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, if it's 5% of your final grade, you don't show up.
Yeah.
We didn't have a high school like that. Like, if you didn't show up, like, somebody's aunt was coming over to your house to see if you were sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always, like, I went to a really small high school in a really small town, but then everything that you tell me about growing up, Matt, is the hold my beer of childhoods.
Yeah, I thought this was perfectly normal until I became a person who went on the internet, because then we had internet when I was in high school in 2009. And now I realize what an insane place the town I grew up in actually is.
Yeah. So the town where you live, I was talking with Summer's best friend, Deanne. I was like, yeah, I have a friend here in Wisconsin too. He lives over in such and such place. She goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Do we need to go save him? And I'm like, yep, that sounds about right.
See, that is true for the place we're currently in. But then stop to consider that it is measurably better than where I came from.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Matt? How was your week?
It was pretty good. We
good.
The last part of the whole wedding thing, we were gonna do like a honeymoon where we went to place, but there's still dregs of a pandemic, and we did not adequately save money to go where we wanted to go for the length of time we wanted to go. So instead, we did the most Wisconsin thing and hung out for 2 weeks in a weird cabin in the middle of the woods.
Hell yeah.
Which was promptly interrupted.
I thought you normally recorded from a weird cabin in the middle of the woods.
No, this is a weirder cabin. I kid you not. You have to be careful where we were. You had to be careful where you drove because you were 45 to 65 minutes away from the nearest gas station, depending on the time of day you were driving.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't fathom like how empty it is up here because like I grew up in the greater Houston metropolitan area, so even when I grew up in like my small ass towns, I was never more than 5 minutes away from a gas station and never more than an hour away from like skyscrapers. So that's definitely not a thing here, and it's like I smack dab in the middle of this state am like the farthest east you can drive and see, or the farthest west you can drive and see civilization. Like everything out past that is all just open and empty, and it's bonkers.
Yeah, you have to
and
go like
it feels so weird.
You have to go north and hit Eau Claire, which is officially north. If you look at the oven mitt of Wisconsin, it's officially north.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I could go into it, but we have things we need to do. Anyway.
Yeah. A lot of people don't seem to understand America, and the people who don't understand election maps need to be dropped in the middle of Nevada or Montana for a while. Like, dropped there, and they have to find their way out.
Oh, yeah.
By then they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it is in this part of of the state of Wisconsin. And then if you go where a good friend of my brother's, who I did not realize wasn't my uncle until I was that kind of family friend, he lives in a place called Spooner, Wisconsin. Or not Spooner.
Nice.
Phillips, Wisconsin. As in the screwdriver, quite literally.
Spooner's a better name.
Yeah, Spooner is the town by where the cabin was. It's a great name. And its nearest neighboring town, I cannot remember what its name is, but I believe it's Mihong, because it was settled by the Hmong people when they came here after Vietnam. So you've got Spooner and Whitehead and Mihong, which is great.
Nice.
But
Anywho, yeah. So the only other important thing that happened this week is all of my best laid plans for this podcast have gotten turned on their head because we are getting official localizations of the Crossbell games, and they are being based on the Geofront translation, which is amazing. Falcom is the only, like, they're not AAA, but like they're big and important video game companies that will take fan translations and make them real. They did it for the East 3 remake, and they did it for some other one, and now they've done it again, and it's awesome. But unfortunately, the actual porting of it to Switch and PS4 and Epic Games Store is going to take a while, so they're going to coming out holiday 22 and 23. So instead of diving right into those using the fan translations, we're going to put them off and play them on the Switch because we want to. And so the order we're playing it is no longer in release order. We're going to do it in the suggested get this far into Cold Steel before you have to play the Crossbell games order. So, yeah, it'll be big, long, and exciting. And these games are long enough that just playing 2 of the Cold Steel games first will get us all the way into 2023 so that we can get get them on Switch, which is nuts to think about. This is a very long series. But let's finish off this first game of this really long series, and we'll listen to the final boss track and then do that right now. So when we last left our heroes, they had followed Richard into his big-ass dungeon underneath the castle, and they were going to go and stop him from getting the areola, so that's what we're doing this time. The dungeon is real big and real easy to get lost in, but basically every chest is a boss fight, and you get some characters' ultimate equipment by doing those fights. But other than that, it's just a big ass long dungeon. Nothing really important happening in it. After half of the dungeon, we make it to the first little like big room clearing thing where we're going to call our party to come up. But before we can call them, Almathea is there. She says that she doesn't even care that they lost the castle and most of the province already, because once Richard has the Shining Ring, he'll be unstoppable. She is now a robot whisperer, so she calls in some robots to fight with her, and she fights us.
And Estelle is like, no, how did you get here before us? And Almathea's like, how did we, robot? And robot's like, well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
That's good. I love that fucking movie.
It's a good movie.
It really is. But the fight for me was trivial because her robot friends dealt no damage to me. How was it for you, Bernard?
Pretty trivial.
Yeah. Felt it was probably an easy one because she's just a mid-boss. She's not part of the final boss gauntlet. But what about you, Matt? Was she easy for you?
Sorry, I had accidentally muted myself and then did not unmute myself, so I was commenting. But anywho, I don't even remember this boss fight, so that's not
trivial.
That's not a good sign for her. So yeah.
So after our fight, we call the others to move base camp to this area, stock up on whatever healing items we might need, and then walk around and fight some more monster in a boxes. So we get to the end of the dungeon, and we come into a real huge room that has 4 big-ass pillars just Chekhoving about the place. And Richard is at some altar / stage / computer thingy, checking on stuff when we show up. We tell him that he's under arrest, so in return he gives us a history lesson. Long ago, the ancients were granted the power of the septillions, of which the areola is one, so just having access to an ancient weapon would be enough to stop another invasion because Liberal would have a power that no one else did. And Estella's like, yeah, but we won the war last time. And Richard's like, only because of Cassius, so now we need a miracle. And Estelle says that the real miracle is the friends we met along the way. Like, literally, that's what she says. And she says that Cassius may have had the strategy, but it was Professor Russell who made the airships, and the Queen gave like hope to the people. And Morgan was leading the troops to execute the plan. So while Cassius was a hero, he won because he was working with others and everybody was important. So if push came to shove again, we don't need some ancient magic doohickey to survive because we all have each other. And Richard says, but I want an ancient magic doohickey, and proceeds to continue with this plan anyways. So Joshua smells something fishy. He's like, so let me get this straight. There was an ancient magic under everyone's noses for millennia, and you found it just now, months after starting the intelligence division. And you, like, the key to all of this is the black orbment that's like more powerful and better machined than even what Professor Russell can make. And he's like the best, invented the whole thing. So how the hell did you get all this stuff? And Richard refuses to answer because he doesn't know. He has lost his memory just like Kurt and the Capuas and Dalmor did. He says that it doesn't matter how he knows it. He just knows that it's right. So he's going to sick some robots on us to take us down. So we fight. He was a little bit hard. What about for you guys?
I don't remember having...
Sorry, I was yawning. He was a little bit hard.
Yeah, I remember not being, like, destroyed by him, but his fucking S-craft that he uses a lot basically would kill my dudes, and I would have to pause what I was doing and get them back up.
The S-craft was pretty bad, but after what the next boss, or the boss after the next boss can do, it didn't seem so bad in hindsight.
Yeah, it does have a badass animations, though.
Yes, there's blood.
Yeah. It's very Kurosawa.
Yes.
The amount of blood. Were you about to say something, Matt?
Oh, I was going to say, that's probably also where I'm at, is if the boss that Bernard is talking about is the one that I remember.
Yeah. So after our fight with Richard, he reveals that we are too late. He had already set the black orbment to go off when we arrived. So it shoots out its 0-point energy wave and powers off all of the orbments in the dungeon. The emergency power comes back on, but a voice from the computer says that the confinement towers are no longer operative, so they go into the ground. The voice says that because the gospel has been activated, the Ring Guardian has been released, and all personnel should vacate the facility for safety. We look over to Richard and are like, what the fuck is happening? And he's like, I have no idea. I probably should have investigated my memory loss a little more than this. So the walls on the side of the room slide apart in a cool ass pattern and reveal the Ring Guardian, who is a big ass 3D modeled robot. That's right. This final boss is the thing that we loved when it happened in Xenogears, where you're a little bitty sprite and you fight a big ass 3D thing, and it's super cool. It's also hard as hell. It was hard for me, and I have it super duper easy. Because I realized while writing my notes for this one in the LP that, because he mentioned that buffs are really hard to come by in this game, and I'm like, I have buffs all the time. Like, what are they talking about? Every single one of my crafts has a buff. That's a thing that they added in the Evolution version, because they add it in, I don't remember if they add it in Sky the Third or in the Crossbell games, but like that's a normal thing going forward, is that crafts have buffs and debuffs attached to them, but they do not in the PC version. So I just buffed all of my people and debuffed the bad guy, and I had like a lot of crafts had like impede debuffs put on them, so I would just impede the shit out of the boss when he would have his big old things going. And so I was interacting with the systems. It still was like an engaging boss fight, but I was probably in way less danger than you guys were.
I was in a lot of danger. I mean, I beat the first phase on my first try, but the second phase where he puts his robot arms on his robot arms is tough.
Yeah.
It took me 3 tries, and that is with the PC versions. It makes it easier after you retry. I got really far the first try, though. I was thinking I might do it, but then it did the annihilation attack, and it killed me.
Yeah. I do love. So when it used its big old fuck you attack, it did debuff itself for a couple of turns for you guys, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I love, like, ever since Shining Force 1 with the battle on the big ass bridge with the big ass laser, I've loved that mechanic in RPGs is survive this big ass thing and don't try and heal right after. Like, you have to go and punish it immediately. And I like that. It keeps you on your toes. But it's real hard.
So I actually had a real tough time with the first phase. I was stuck on that for I think it took me 5 or 6 tries. But once I cleared the first phase, I cleared the second phase super easy. Like, it was and I don't know if that was me figuring it out or if the game was finally like, dude, you're not going to get this. Just here you go.
Yeah. Speaking of that system on the PC, did I ever tell you about the first time I was playing this game? And I was at the bottom of the Capua's dungeon, so way back beginning of the fucking game. And I survived the actual boss fight with like 1 HP on Estelle, and Joshua was dead. And then you have to fight like a bunch of little mooks to get all the way out, but I had no healing items, no anything. So the only way I got out is I would go into the battle, die like 30 times so that my first turn would be heal all and super critical or whatever. And I would have like 2 turns before the bad guys would even move and go and kill them all so that I could make my way out of there. 'Cause I was ready to die.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of something really annoying that happened during my fight with Richard. Richard has a ton of HP, and near the end of the fight, he got like 3 or 4 turns in a row where he got the health restore.
That sucks.
And it would, I'm doing like 500 damage to him in a turn, and then he gets the health restore, which restores over 1,000 HP.
That sucks. But,
it was so annoying.
Speaking of the PC version and annoying things, does it still have the bug where if you use the speed up button while Joshua is using his S-Craft, it does 0 damage?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed that either.
On the S-Craft I was using.
Yeah, so again, this was several years ago when I was playing it on the PC. But because like by habit, like I had mapped speed up to the forward and back buttons on the side of your mouse. I had mapped it to there and was just speeding up willy nilly all the time. And so, but for Joshua, I would have to let it play because if I was holding down the speed up button at the end of his S-Craft, it wasn't that it did 0 damage. It would skip the damage calculation step, and it just would do the big animation and nothing would happen. But
That's
just
wild.
a weird thing. Yeah. But
I would hate to have to watch any battle animation in this game regular speed.
Yeah, like the animations in this game are great, but they are slow. Like watching them at super speed is very satisfying. I really like how they all work, but I couldn't imagine not doing it fast because it's garbagely slow. But Yeah. So after the fight, the robot collapses to the ground, and Richard is like, "Oh, hey, if this was the Ring Guardian, where the fuck is the ring? Like, where's the areola that we were here for?" But before he can figure any of that out, the robot gets back up. He he fights it for us so that we can escape. He says that his plan to save Liberl had already failed because the areola isn't there. So saving us so that we can live to fight another day is about all that he can do to repent for his sins. But then he gets caught up in the giant robot hands, and then a voice from the distance says, "Well, if you think of a battle as hopeless, then it will be, and it's Dad." He comes in like a wrecking ball and destroys the robot to death, and then he gives us a boss fight with everyone's S-crafts prepared so you can win like a badass, unless you're like me and Bernard, who had Chloe, and her S-craft is jack shit. So you still have to.
Craft is really good. It's heals, and you don't need that at this point.
Nope. So you destroy it dead, and then you catch up with Cassius for a bit. Cute little father-daughter banter, and then we ask like, "What's the situation like on the surface?" And he says that General Morgan and Sid have everything under control, and Richard was like, "Oh, we had both of them like hostage and like under our control, but you freed them." And and Cassius is like, "Yeah, but basically that's all that I did. If I were out of the picture, you still probably would have lost today, because not only are Estelle and Joshua here like kicking your ass right now, but like Sid is an awesome general, Morgan is an awesome general, like everyone is good. It's not just me." And Richard is like, "No, you're the hero. You left all of us, and we couldn't survive another invasion without you, because that's why I needed to sell my soul to the magic-y devils and shit." So Cassius punches him real good, like across the screen, and tells him to stop being a child. He should have let go of all of the heroic delusions that he had about Cassius, because he's is like, if you had even with all the schemes that you've been doing, you couldn't even like stand up by yourself. You just always were saying, "Oh, I need Cassius to do this." Like if Liberal needed a hero, you should have been that hero, because Cassius always had friends, as Estelle said earlier, and Cassius then basically sends Richard to his room and is like, I want you to think about what you've done." And so then it fades to black, and it's good. So the intelligence division is basically all arrested, and 1 week later, we're all still having the big 60th anniversary party.
So everything is solved. Happy
Yes.
ever after.
Yep. Credits.
Everything is great.
Everything is good. And so, like, from here to the time we stopped talking today is the reason why these games came out over in America. Because if this would have just resolved and gone to the credits here or whatever, it would have been a nice, like, cool JRPG with a lot of world sense, and people would have been like, "Oh, the storytelling in this one was really good," etc., etc. But we're working up to a cliffhanger, and not getting this cliffhanger for like 6 years and like demanding one is probably the only reason this game like was spoken about in hushed tones and all of these things to be as popular as it is. After some montage of the birthday party for the queen, we go back to the Bracer Guild where Elnon takes in, gives us our last quest turn in and gives us a letter of recommendation, which is the last one that we needed. So Cassius is like, okay, with all the rules of the guild, you now are full-fledged bracers. Show me your letters of recommendation, yada yada yada. He then says your rank, mine, because I had done no side quests. He basically was like, this technically counts as a bracer, but you fucking suck. And it was great because I didn't do a goddamn thing. I didn't even like pretend to do any of the side quests. I just blasted through the game.
I blasted through the game and managed to be rank 3 and look pretty good.
Nice.
I mainly only side quests I did was like there's a big monster on the road, so I'd find the monster on the road, and then I would later go to the Bracer Guild and find the thing on the board and be like, yeah, I did that.
Nice.
It was just in my way, but I did it.
Yeah, I suck. But so he gives us our full-on official bracer emblems so that we can now take jobs whenever, wherever. We thank everyone for helping us, and Elnon says, sorry to break up the happy occasion, but Cassius is no longer a member of the Bracer Guild. He's basically going to take Richard's job or Morgan's job. He's going to be in charge of the Royal Army because shit's in disarray, and he's very qualified for it.
Eldon is like, sorry to break up the happy occasion, but something's happening that's not about Cassius, and we can't have that.
Can we take a second to stop
Definitely
and appreciate that it took literally saving the continent to get our two dorks in charge to be bracers? What did everyone else who's a full-fledged
how do normal
bracer?
kids?
Yeah, how does everybody else become a full-fledged bracer? Is this continent just in trouble that often?
Yeah, I wonder if there's a side quest in the next game with Annalise. And it's like, so how'd you become a bracer? Oh, I saved precisely 4 cats from 4 different trees, 1 in each branch, and they made me full-fledged bracer.
I delivered milk to a village for a month. It was weird.
Yeah. But spoilers that Annalise is in your party when you start the next game. I literally have only played an hour of the next game, so it's not that much of a spoiler. But I love her.
She's the really cute one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Annalise is the cute one. Karna is the hot one. Kurt is the amnesia boy. Those are the only ones that I really know of.
And then I think there's another.
Yeah. But I don't know if Kurt or Karna join your team. It would make sense if they did, but I don't actually know. So, Cassius is like, yeah, I gotta go and help the army because they're all fucked up now, but you guys have 2 full-fledged bracers to take up my spot. So, we then get a really cool walk and talk scene where the Josh, Estelle, and Cassius are just walking down the parade grounds while the text boxes are going. I really, really liked it. But Cassius tells us that Captain Almathea is, like, they went to go like pick up her body and she wasn't there. She's hiding out somewhere in the ruins, and the Sky Bandits escaped, and the special ops are still at large. so he has a lot of work to do. So he has to like leave right away. He can't just hang out with us. And he mentions that the whole like magical barrier that we unleashed upon the world, nobody really knows what it does or what's happening with that. We're just kind of hoping that it'll be okay, because there's a lot of like political shit that they have to deal with first. And he says that they did with in their like debriefing investigation, they found out that the black orbment came from the Lieutenant Lawrence, and Estella's like, oh shit, fuck that guy. Like, we had to fight him, but he did take off his helmet when he was fighting us, so I can give like the sketch artists description so we can get it, like we can try and figure him out. And Josh was like, wait, you saw his face? And he's like, yeah, he was like about 20 years old, had ash blonde hair and super creepy eyes. And she mentions that when he talked to the Queen, he used the phrase, you are hardly qualified to feel pity for me. And Joshua like latches onto that, like it's important. And Cassius is like, what's going on, Josh? You seem like something's up. And Josh is like, no, it's fine. Let's go have fun at the festival, me and Estelle. And Cassius says that we're going to be sleeping at the castle. So when we're all done with everything, to go back to the castle when we're all done. So, yeah, so then it lets us have a victory lap, because all games deserve a victory lap. We don't get to go around the entire world, unfortunately, but basically every NPC we've ever talked to is here for the party anyways, so it's just as good. I did not talk to a single damn one of them, though. Like, there is infinity people to talk to, and I didn't do a single one. Did you guys talk to anybody important, or just beelined it to the ice cream shop?
I found Philip, and he was doing something for Duke Doonan.
Yeah.
I didn't talk.
I'm sure some of them are great, and I probably should have looked over them, but I didn't.
It was 3 a.m. when I was playing this. I didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, it was really late for me as well, because it was the night they announced the crossbow things, and so I was like, well, I have to play it now, and so I stayed up late finishing it. So we make it to the rest area, and Estelle and Joshua sit down and start to talk, and the real final boss is the conversations we have along the way. And so so they're talking about how like they're full bracers now, so they can go anywhere. What do they want to do? And Stella's like, I think I want to go do bracer shit everywhere. And Joshua is like, I think I want to stay with you from now on. The translation of that line I wish was, I'd like to be with you, because it makes Estelle like, what is he coming on to me? But I think I'd like to stay with you from now on is not a come on sentence at all. But she starts to fluster, as always, and she's like, oh, I thought you were going to be giving me a confession or something. And Josh was like, what? She's like, never mind. I'm going to go get some ice cream. I'll see you right back. And Josh was like, okay, whatever. And after Estelle leaves, Professor Alba comes in, and it's like, oh, it's he's like, oh, like, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, you look like something's bothering you. Like, you're a full bracer now. Like, you should be happy. And Joshua says that ever since they first met, that he's always felt uncomfortable around Alba, and he always gets the shakes a little bit whenever Alba's around. And in every case so far in the game, people just forget things, and Alba is always there shortly after. And he says that when Kurt had lost his memories, and when we were in the stands, Kurt, and one of the things that I skipped over back in the martial arts tournament, Kurt was like shivering and freaking out, and he didn't know why, and Alba was sitting right behind him. So Josh straight up is like, Professor Alba, what are you the main bad guy? Have you been behind everything? And he has. He then snaps his fingers, everything like goes inverted, and all of Joshua's like memories and life just like flash before his eyes. And Alba is like, who says that when you were in tatters, it was I who rebuilt you. I restored you. I poured a soul back into your empty vessel. And Josh was like, oh, if you have the power to twist the minds and memories of men, you must be one of the snake apostles, the Ongui. You must be Wiseman the Faceless.
Snake apostles or snapostles.
Snapostles. And Alba is like, well, yes, I am Wiseman, but you haven't called me that name in ages. Enforcer Legion 13, aka Roxas. And Joshua's like, wait, if you're behind all of this, that means Lawrence has to be, and he trails off, and Alba's like, yes, I didn't erase his memories, so he was able to be his normal self right away. You should thank me. Does not expand on that. Don't know what that means. But Joshua asks if he's here to kill Josh, and Alba says, no. The first phase of my plan went off without a hitch, so I thought I would just come to see you. And Josh was like, the seal in the old ruins? And Alba says the gate that blocks the path to the ring was that was our first step. And he says there's no way to close it again. And Josh was like, what the fuck is the areola? What is your society after? And he's like, well, if you want to know, why don't you come join us? You can, you're such a badass killing machine. We could use you. And, and so he, and then he says, you're a badass killing machine, and you have already been doing so much work for us for the past 5 years. And Josh was like, what the fuck? Like, what are you trying to tell me? And he goes, oh, you, like, every month you would come in and tell us everything that the Bracer Guild was up to, and give us information on Cassius. But like, we would wipe your memory every time you'd do it, so that you wouldn't know you were telling us. That's how we knew when to strike, because we needed Cassius out of the picture, but we couldn't like make any moves to make Cassius out of the picture. So when we told him like, oh, he's leaving to go do the thing, we struck, and it's all your fault, Joshua. And so, Joshua gets pissed, but Alba's like, no, like you not knowing what you were doing gave you a family and a happy home, you can just never tell them and everything will be fine. So it's like, but it's like that sort of thing will weigh heavy on you. And since the members of the household are good people, do you think that they would even care for a monster like you? And he then tells Joshua that he was the Black Fang, his prized killing machine, and he has no place in the lives of normal people, so he needs to come back to Ouroboros. And then it fades to black and fades back in, and it's the sun has set, so Estelle took forever to get these ice creams. So she's heading back towards Joshua, and Professor Alba, all smiles, walks by and is like, "Oh, tee-hee-hee-hee, I was just talking with Joshua. Congratulations. See you later. I've made some advances in my research, so I'm in a really good mood. So au revoir." And so Estelle goes over to see Joshua, and Joshua is fine. He's just like, "Oh, you got us a big ass ice cream. Now we can eat. Everything is totally cool." And she's and so they chat real cute, etc. And then it fades to nighttime at the castle, and Estelle is like pacing, trying to figure out like what she should do about her feelings. And Shara is there and is like, "Obviously, we all know it. You're in love with Joshua. You should admit that to yourself and admit that to him. Like, go get your boy. The night is young, etc., etc." And so Estelle walks to Joshua's room, but he's not there. But she hears him playing the theme song on the harmonica. So you can then explore the castle to talk to all of your people again if you want to. I did not. I walked right upstairs.
I talked to one person at
Who did you
this
talk
time. I talked to Olivier, and he's like, "Oh, listen to that beautiful song being played. That's the great old Erebonian tune. I'm surprised a Liburlian knows it." It's like, okay, yeah, we get it.
Yeah. So you make your way to the roof, and Joshua is there, and he's like, "Estelle, I'm ready to finally tell you what I was doing before I met you." And Estelle's like, "Okay, like I promised I would listen whenever you're ready to tell me, so go ahead and tell me." And he says that once upon a time there was a little boy who lived all by himself, who was who basically had no redeeming traits. He just relied on everyone else. But one day something happened and it broke his heart. He didn't know how to speak, how to feel, how to eat. All he could do was play the harmonica. No matter how hard everyone tried, nothing helped his heart to feel better. Then one day, a wandering magician appeared before the boy and said, "I will heal the boy's heart, provided that I am compensated." So the boy was given over to the magician's care, and the magician found that he could shape the boy's existence into anything he wished. So the boy's heart became that of a murderer. For 2 years, the boy killed every single day. Under a cover of night, he murdered dozens of soldiers. He slit the throat of a national cabinet minister who was under heavily armed guard. Sometimes he used explosives, which maimed and killed innocent bystanders. At some point, he became regarded as something more than a mere killer. He was known as the Black Fang, and the name struck fear into the hearts of men. One day, the magician gave the boy an assassination order. His target was a hero, a man who had protected his queen and nation from the threat of an invading northern country. He was a bracer who had special rank shared only by 3 others in the entire land, but the target was too strong. He defeated the boy with the ease of a tiger swatting at a playful cub. At that moment, some of the magician's servants showed up. Since the boy's face had been seen, he was now a loose end to be tied up. But someone came to his aid and drove the attackers away. It was, of course, the man that he had come to kill. And so the boy was taken to the man's house where he met a young girl. He lived there for 5 years, always feeling like he was lost in some wonderful dream. In the real world, he would never be allowed to have such dreams, but all dreams must end at some point. The time was drawing near when reality could be avoided no longer. I read it because it was well written. Estelle is just like, what? was that real? And Josh was like, yeah, very real. I'm a monster. I kill people a lot. Thanks for everything, but I got to get out. So he hands her his harmonica. It's like, that's the last bit of my heart. I don't need it anymore. I gotta get out of here. And Estelle's like, stop it. Stop talking about like your life is a dream, making it sound like nothing was real, but your past doesn't matter. You are my brother and my boyfriend. And and she finally says, Joshua, I love you.
And Joshua's like, of course you love me. I'm your brother.
She's like, no. Like, I love you. And then if you're playing on the Vita version, you get a heartbreakingly beautiful CG of them kissing. And it's the epitome of the not like this moment. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
In the PC version, they managed to communicate it well with just extremely not detailed sprite animations. Oh no, the CG.
It's so good.
It's like, really good.
It's like everything you wanted, but it burns it into the ground.
Josh's arm is the color of Estelle's face, and Estelle's arm is the color of Joshua's face.
Oh, weird. I guess it's lighting, but...
I guess so.
Weird. But, yeah, so he kisses her, and she's like, whoa, what was that? Also, I feel sleepy. And Josh was like, don't worry, it's just a fast acting sedative. There's no side effects. You're just going bye-bye. And she falls to the ground, starts to fall asleep. And he says, Estelle, you shine like the sun. My time with you was the happiest and the most painful that I've ever known. Just like the brightest light casts the darkest shadow. If you'd stay with me, you'd find out how disgusting my true nature is. And sometimes I think it would be better if we never met. So thank you for everything. You've had me from the moment I met you. I've always loved you. Goodbye. Credits. Like, the most, like, of all the places where they could have left a cliffhanger, it's like the one that hurts the most is when they roll credits, and that's the end of the goddamn game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it hurts so good. Yeah, there was no extra shit this game. I mean, there were. We could have gone and talked to people. I didn't do any of that. So instead, let's listen to some music, talk about our memorable moments, and final thoughts on this game. What do you guys got? There wasn't a lot of NPCs to talk to this time around, but there were a lot of treasure chests.
When Joshua was at the end being like, I'm already a devil cause I can't stay with you, My heart is broken. Estelle goes, your heart is broken? What does that mean? I love that line so much. It's like really silly, but also feels very genuine and is also like, yeah, Joshua, what the fuck are you talking about? Just be normal.
Right?
I understand you can't be normal right now, but just be normal.
Yeah, I really like the writing in this game. Obviously, it's one of the better written JRPGs, but like every character like feels real in a even when they do like tropey sort of things, they all still like there's nuance all over the place. And so when Estelle says something like, what does that even mean? It is played for laughs, but it also feels like Estelle would 100% say that. And it's all over the game. It's one of the best parts about it.
Also, so did Joshua know Estelle was going to come up and that things would lead naturally into a kiss? And so or was he just like, I might need to kiss someone at some point?
I think
so
he
I'm going to
knew
prepare this.
Because flashback to the opening scene of the game, he was playing the same song and she mentioned how she loved to listen to it and would come up and listen to him. So him playing the harmonica was the bait, I believe.
Also, I've never understood when people in movies do the poison on the lips thing, how they manage to not poison themselves.
Well, you see in the masterpiece of our time, Batman by Joel Schumacher, whichever one that was, Poison Ivy, he has wax on his lips to keep it from fucking up his own lips. That's how I think it.
That works.
Yeah.
But do they have a modern invention like wax in this world?
Yes, they had candles.
Is wax No, it's not a modern. No, you have me confused
No, I was being
that
silly.
like, I'm having a Mandela effect of like, is wax new?
Yeah, candles were just invented, Matt.
They invented candles after they invented light bulbs.
Yeah.
Or when the light bulbs go
I was
out.
like, okay,
Yeah.
so in my head I was like, okay, you can make candles out of tallow, which is rendered fat. Was it always just tallow? Was it never actually wax? That's something like some dude with a bad mustache made in the 70s?
But yeah, did you have any more memorable moments before we dive into final thoughts?
I'm done.
What about you, Matt?
Well, considering I had to like restrain myself from ugly crying through the whole, even you're just retelling of the end of this game, I think it's safe to say that I loved it. I love to hate it. I hate to love it. However you want to combine that.
Have you played this one before, Matt?
I have, as we've discussed, I have Final Fantasy VII to this game so hard the first time I played it, where like I got to I'm pretty sure the boss that stopped me from finishing the game was the giant robot. And I just said, okay, I'll come back to this later. And then this guy named Sam Allman said, hey, you want to be on a podcast where we play this game? And I played it again.
Yeah. So did you know anything about this cliffhanger? Prior to playing it?
I knew that there was a cliffhanger, because it's a Trails of game.
Famous one.
Yeah, it's a famous one. I did not know exactly what it was. I assumed it would have something to do with Joshua's past, just because reasons. I did not expect it to lead to the presumed parting of ways. And I was not emotionally prepared to deal with that at like 4 a.m.
Yeah. I remember when I first got to this part, because I knew it ended on a cliffhanger, because that was one of the like things about it, like prior to second chapter coming out in like, I think it was like 2015, 2016, something like that, like not too terribly. Like I think I had started wanting to play Trails in the Sky before second chapter was even out, so I knew, like, going in, there's a big cliffhanger, get ready for it or whatever. But I had no idea what it would be like, and so I remember playing through, like, being ready for there to be some sort of a cliffhanger, and I was thinking it was going to be like Estelle would be like, Joshua, I love you, and he goes, well, Estelle, I credits type thing at the ice cream place. So I was like looking around waiting for it to show up, and then Alba shows up and reveals himself as the bad guy, drops this lore that we haven't even fucking heard about before, and I'm just like, oh shit, like this isn't even started yet, motherfuck. And then there was still the kiss after, and it hurt so good. I remember when I finally beat it, I was like, I'm glad that I beat it after second chapter is available, because Jesus Christ, not ever being able to being able to resolve that cliffhanger would fucking suck.
Yeah, I cannot imagine playing this in real time. Like that, this would have been the kind of story that would have just kept me up at nights, more so than I already keep myself up at nights. Just like, I wonder how that ends. I wonder if it'll ever actually end. I wonder if I'll ever find out. Oh no, go ahead.
I feel if I would have been playing this in 2011, I would have gone online and looked up the plot of the second game. Like, fuck waiting. I would need to know, especially because it seemed for the longest time like we would never get the second part. I just would have to resolve it, and I would look up the plot.
So
I do have. I'm going on to a different subject, so if you're saying something related, go ahead.
Yes. There is some the way the story is structured for the end of this game is very interesting relative to what is going to happen in the future. That is super vague and stupid, but I need to remember. I'm going to make a note to remember to talk about this later.
In 2023.
I was telling Sam the other day, I'm looking forward to moving on to second chapter, so that there's only one person trying to hold back spoilers the entire time instead of two.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, all of, like, Matt could name names and say things, and we would forget, because it's so long before we get to the games that Matt has played. He hasn't played the immediately following ones.
That's the thing. I don't think he will, because these are like all caps, oh shit, for the full length of the TikTok, like, combinations that are then like are by that point in Trails of Cold Steel, they're like blasé information that is just casually bandied about. I'm like, excuse me?
Interesting. Well, I can't wait until we get there. But Bernard, now that we destroyed your segue, what were you about to say?
So the final boss of this game, the robot, actually has a name. That name is Reverie, which I'm sure this is unrelated, But it's interesting because the new Trails game is called Trails into Reverie.
It is.
And it's also interesting because I wanted to confirm I was remembering that right. So I was Googling Trails in the Sky Reverie, and it auto-completed to Trails in the Sky Reverse Harem. Or not auto-completed, but that was one of the suggested searches.
God, I love
Jesus
the internet.
Christ.
It's so stupid.
Fandom needs to be stopped. But yeah, so I just had a couple quick mem moms before we talk about big thoughts. In lieu of NPCs, all of mine come from treasure chests this week. One of them just says no. Which is good. There's another one that says, congratulations, you found the ultimate treasure, air. And then my final one is when Cassius shows up and Estella's like, Jesus Christ, Dad, you're such a fucking deadbeat. You always, are never around when he needs you. Why would you show up now? He goes, maybe I just wanted to see the ending. And Estella's like, what do you mean by ending? And he goes, never mind. And it's great. But, yeah.
Talking about those chests that always have a joke instead of having something in them, I'm the type of person, if I were making this game, I would have had there be one chest that has something extra in it if you check it again. Put it probably in the Capwa's dungeon. So you find that and you check it, and you're like, oh shit, sometimes chests have extra stuff in them.
Yep.
But that's the only one.
See,
doesn't one of the Dragon Quests do that with the little bags on the wall? I think Maddie's talked about that.
I'm
not sure.
Dragon Warrior Monsters 2 Kobe's Adventure, there is one chest where if you click on it a third time, you realize there's a false bottom, and it has rotten meat in it.
Nice.
I'm
sure you can do something with the rotten meat. You can feed it to a monster or something.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, this is a Dragon Quest game, so probably just you can sell it for 1 gold.
A game that did this in the reverse in a really bad way was Sailor Moon Another Story. The whole game, clicking on boxes and everything does jack shit, but Jupiter's ultimate accessories are randomly in barrels in her solo chapter. So if you don't grab them, you lose, and Jupiter sucks. And it was very weird when I stumbled upon them because the whole rest of the game there are literally no items in any chests not in any non-chests except for Jupiter's.
You said barrels. Now, are they actually barrels in 1980s Japan?
No, they were barrels in the pasty place where most of it takes place.
I don't know that much about Sailor Moon.
Well, Sailor Moon takes place in the early 90s Japan, but it also takes place 1,000 years ago and also takes place 2,000 years in the future. And Jupiter's solo thing was during the 1,000 years in the past.
I only knew that it takes place in Japan, so I was imagining her wandering around early 90s, late 80s Japan, and there are just fantasy barrels.
Yeah.
Like you'd see on a pirate ship around because it's an RPG.
Yeah, Sailor Moon also does the thing where it's like, oh, we're going to have regular Japan stuff on our normal episodes, but every now and then we'll go to some other country that doesn't exist where like people have like horses and swords and shit. So there's a lot of that going on. Sailor Moon owns. Everyone should watch it.
I mean, I guess it's just like in Dragon Ball how it takes place in vaguely the modern world, but also there are dinosaurs.
Yeah, there are dinosaurs, and also you can build your own spaceship like in your garage if you're Bulma. So
yeah, I like how Bulma, like, she's one of the best engineers in the world, but that's like not really a big part of her character.
Yeah. She's like, oh yeah, by the way, I have already invented spaceships, but I'm going to collect all the Dragon Balls so I can have a boyfriend.
Yes.
Maybe that's what it
But
takes in the
yeah,
Dragon Ball
this
world.
game. So yeah, 1 game down, 9 to go. How did you guys like it?
I liked it. I feel like it's a game that you're supposed to chill with a lot and do all the stuff, but really, I just blasted through it. And honestly, I feel like part of that is that most of it wasn't challenging enough to make me want to do a bunch of side quests to get buff. And also, I didn't want to do a bunch of side quests to earn money because there was not anything to spend it on.
Yeah.
And so, like, the main thing is that I'm playing it on my computer, and so I'm sitting at my desk, and I don't like sitting at my desk that much because it's the same desk I sit at to work. So I don't want to take my time anyway. So yeah, I've just blazing through it and not really engaging with the side content. And I feel sort of bad about that because they sure did put a lot of effort into the side content.
Yeah, they really did. There's so much of it, but this game in particular, now that I've gotten to the end of it, the like capital S side quests, like the things from the Bracer Guild and stuff, are kind of not important. All of the good side content is just the fact that everyone's text boxes are constantly updating, so you should just go around and hang out and talk to everybody. That's where all the good shit is. But yeah, I like tried to complete the game, and then I got to like in the middle of chapter 3. I had accidentally gone too far in the plot and ruined it, and so because side quests expire, and so I had fucked up my perfect game, and so from then on I just rushed through it. But I took forever to play it my first time, and I think I enjoyed it better just like blasting through it. The game has very big hangout energy, but its plot is also like good, and you want to figure out what's happening next. And all of the side content kind of is all right, we need to go and stop the orphanage from being on fire right now. People are dying. But if you wanted to, you could go and pick up some quests from the Bracer Guilds. Like all of them come in at that weird, forgot the word that, I mean, it's way different. Dissonance. That's the one. That weird dissonance sort of thing.
The game has a lot of stuff you can hang out with, but also the plot is very well paced for just going through it at full speed. So I guess you could do it either way.
Yeah. It at least has a shitload of replay value, which probably held people over when they had to wait 5 years to resolve this cliffhanger. But what about you, Matt? Did you enjoy going back to the barest bones from the most beefy bones of Cold Steel?
I won't lie. I struggled to play it at points. But I don't think it's in relation to Trails of Cold Steel in that regard. It was actually really cool. A lot of instances to go back and be like, oh, this thing or this person, like watching Rogue One and having Vader show up. Like, it's just it's the cool throwback that like shouldn't be a throwback, but because of how I did things, it is. I think the reason I struggled with it is I had so many false starts playing Trails in the Sky over the years. And it, finally every time was just a little bit harder to go back and play. I was like, oh, but I made it so far into the game. I don't want to go back and do it again. but like in that super first world, like, ugh, you mean I have to watch Dragon Ball again? I guess, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm...
Yeah, it's like...
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, the opening, especially when Estelle talks about her mom in the clock tower, is so, like, exquisite of a scene, but I had to play it 3 times in my life, and it's like, it's the tastiest shoe leather to ever chew on, but it's still, like, I gotta do all this crap again.
But, like, I hit a point where... once the tempo of the end game story really starts coming into view and really starts picking up, where I was like, okay, no, I'm back in. Mm-hmm. This is great again. And now I'm even more excited to play just more of the series in general.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I love the pixel art, but there is something about that PS2 feeling art of the Trails of Cold Steel and later games that I'm like, this is the aesthetic for me now.
Mm-hmm.
But which is all to say that, like, it's still a really great game, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Other than that last little part, like, that was a traumatizing section to play, like, just before, because I played a bit of it and then finished as much as I could just before the wedding, and then finished the game just after the wedding, and it hit so different than I thought it would. There was a lot of big emotions for 2 or 3 days after that.
Yeah. Be like, Becca, you're not wearing false lips to poison me and leave me, are you?
You're not secretly a spy, right? We're fine, right? You're just also a boring Wisconsinite, right?
Right. But yeah, my favorite thing about this game is no one is a chosen one, and no one even is like important. Like, while like everyone ends up being important, but their important stuff that they're doing is nothing that you're actually doing in the game. So it's like your, like, Estelle and Joshua's plot of like, oh, we need to deliver this orbment and then figure out what's going on, and then they happen to be there at the end, is like not even important. The important shit is like, oh, like Zane and Chloe and Olivier and Shara and Agate have been doing the JRPG plot off screen, and we get glimpses of it the whole time, but they really like play it close to the chest to like reveal it in the last chapter. And I really, really liked that about this game. It gave it a really awesome vibe where it felt okay to just hang out with these characters in each of the towns you go to, because like you didn't, there never was like, oh, hey, we need to stop Richard from opening the thing and causing a fucking ice age or whatever the fuck he's trying to do. Like, there was never a ticking clock in the whole game. It was just, you just got a vibe, and it's still like laid all the dominoes out for them to fall at the end. And I love the structure of this game so much. The narrative design is exquisite. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say, because now I just want to go and play the next game. Yeah, as I mentioned last time, we're going to slightly shake up the logistics of season 2, where we're going to just blast through the plot like it's a normal ass book club episode, and then we'll have an episode maybe 2 if we need to. I don't know how much like better and more involved the side content gets in the next game, but we'll do a big old like the shit you missed on this game there in the last, like a final episode for it. So that's when we'll cover the books and major side quests and things like that. But it's like the memorable moments episode. But yeah, we will be playing the prologue next episode. Dive in right in 2 weeks, and Matt will be taking the reins, and I'm excited to not have to talk nearly as much because I do this 2 other episodes a week because we have to do long casts now. So yeah, if you liked what you heard, you should check us out online. These are only available online. That's the spiel from the wrong podcast. So this series could not happen without the support of our Ko-Fi backers. So thanks to everyone who has been supporting us. If you are listening to this in the after times, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where you can get access to these episodes a month before everyone else. There will be a couple in the bank by the time you hear this. So if you want to resolve this cliffhanger, head on over. We've started talking about it already. Next week, like I said, we'll be playing the prologue, which is, I forget what it's titled. I knew it, but I have forgotten it. So we'll be playing the prologue of Trails in the Sky. SC stands for second chapter. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. For Book Club No Kiseki, I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
I'm Matt Jorgensen.
Adios, amigos. God damn it.
Earlier, when you were talking about Professor Alba, you accidentally said Professor.
Professor.
And now I'm thinking about how I want to hear a story about baseball.
When I hear Professor, I think of Professor Layton in The Malignant Growth.
Yeah, exactly. That is what the reference.
Oh, I get it now. Baseball!
Yes.
I'm 42!
I'm so lost.
Professor Layton in The Malignant Growth troubles me because I love it so much, but also it's like deeply bad, and I can't recommend it to anyone because it's really not a good thing.
Yeah.
It does not put good into the universe.
No. Like, the only good thing about Professor Layton in The Malignant Growth is joking with your friends about it. Nothing that happens in the actual thing is funny, but saying, "Hey, Professor," to your friends is. And I don't understand how that works, but it does.